and welcome to MoReece J TV. My name is Sheriff MoReece and I am part of the Lyrical Assassins Police Department. We've had a new case, guys. We've got another case, suspect known as Blindsight. We'll be taking some evidence today to convict my man of some lyrical crimes that have been reported from YouTube. Now these reports are flying in. We've had some witnesses to these lyrical crimes. We're not quite sure what we're going to convict our suspect Blindsight of just yet. We're going to take a look at and review all the evidence that we find today. The evidence can be found on this track right here, Mama Said Knock You Out. This is the Blindsight remix. No, he said his mama said knock you out. I don't believe his mama told him to do anything. I believe she's an innocent party. As is LL Cool J. I don't believe LL Cool J had any influence on my suspect at all. I believe Blindsight is a criminal mastermind. And we're going to prove this today with the evidence that we gather. As we learned from UpChurch skill shot investigation, evidence doesn't hang around for long. So let's waste no time and start taking down the evidence that we find. So without further ado, we're going to be listening to Mama Said Knock You Out, the remix from Blindsight. And I just want to say, Mr. Blindsight, if you're watching this, have you ever been in a Lyrical Assassins Jail before, Mr. Blindsight? It's not a nice place. There's some crazy fools in there. They'll eat you alive. So I suggest you come clean to help reduce your time in there. So let's take a look, guys.
You know it's time to get knocked out. To all the people that doubted me, I'm on top now. You can stop me if too much up in my pocket found. The secret to rapping to let me lock heads down. Ripping up your shoulders, what you drop pounds. Flick of my wrist, throw a bitch in the ditch with the fix. Get my tips and I split like your lips. If you think you got a grip on that whip, I'ma kick that shit. You ain't spit, just a whip ass kid. So get fucked, I'm a player.
Okay. Lock heads down. Ripping off the shoulders, make you lose pounds. Fish and chips. Okay.
Baby, all I give is nuts. My wife told me just as long as she the one, I can fuck up any pussy that I want. Just as long as I come home and put my dick up in her butt. I'm just kidding, better clean it up quick. Or my lady gonna come and chop my dicky off my hip. Just a joke, baby. Don't get your panties in a twist, or I'll knock that pussy out and have you walking with a
Infidelity. Said something about nuts. He said he's a player. He did something with nuts. Told his wife not to get her panties in a twist. He wants to stick it in her butt. This guy is disgusting. He's absolutely disgusting. Can you believe the things that are coming out of his mouth? The way he's treating his wife, women in general. Okay.
split the biscuits and pour this gravy on your back. I can flip this beat, watch me treat it like a piece of ass. Freak show, we skin with no mask, I don't need those. See my face when I speak blow. Don't you be calling this no regular jam, bringing the classic back.
Biscuits and gravy. Did he use the biscuits and gravy to speak about how he's going to eat your ass? This man is vile. Absolute vile, Mr. Blindsight. I almost have enough evidence already. Poor wee scheme as well. Well, at least we know you're not wearing a mask. So you don't mind about getting caught, do you? No, you should mind. especially when you want to put people 6 feet under.
Jane Wallace strobe lights causing night seizures. On demand, I'm a light seeker. And if it feels good, do it. Like you run up in a booty, I'm a stepper, tick in my hand, a tattoo is to prove it. If a maniac fucking brains out of ladies, leave them lipping daily. I can't help it, there's no taming that. Wild off the chain, unpredictable.
So the suspect's wearing baggy pants, a pair of Vans, he has a chain wallet. He can't go near any strobe lights by the sound of it. I believe him or his peers may be subject to a seizure. He also wears Nikes, so he may be wearing Nikes. Do it with the Nike reference. Tramp stamp tattooist, I'm sure he said. He's an infomaniac. I think we gathered that from the first part of the song. His poor wife. This is unbelievable. I believe women, any females, if you see Blindsight out in the public, please don't approach him. He's untamed and infomaniac.
Filed off insane, unsustainable membrane. Gotta rock the plane and crash it till the wind breaks. Fly off this bitch, a monster out of grim space. I'm on that. Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall and I made an omelet. Duck at the dog and I'll take a raw neck. Hush little pussy, I'll make you cry. Murder this beat, go to sleep, lullaby. Explosions.
Lullaby. Okay. So he's a fan of Street Fighter. I'm wondering whether his favourite character was Guile. Guile, he mentioned about a plane. Guile, I'm sure, was in a plane crash. Was he a plane crash survivor? Possibly. Making omelettes with Humpty Dumpty. Oh, hang on a minute. I mean, this man has an obsession with food. Fish and chips, nuts, biscuits and gravy. Omelettes. Okay.
I got the program. Remote control, detonate the show. Damn, say you got that fire. You say you got those flames. You been gay. Hella Philip Morris, see the dick straight. You ain't motherfucking knowing. I'm the go fucking mothers on the soul. Motherfucker, $3 in the milk. Got him dropping in the hills. I don't need a fucking Trojan. With the Magnum, I stack that. I pop up other asses. I slap that. Watch them cheap clap back. Shap that. I'm a device to hype the mic. I'm coming in high tide to sight with the Titan spike. I'm not a myth. I'm a gift to your ear. Drum it.
Hang on. Been gay. Are you being homophobic, Mr. Blindsight? Are you being homophobic? Been gay. Been gay. Are you coming with that fire? Okay. So let me check that out. Motherfucker. Bobbing with the steel. Trojan. What else did we have? Said something about Shaftum. Let's roll this back a little bit, guys.
I slap that, watch them cheap clap back, shap that. I'm a device to hype the mic. I'm coming in high tide to sight with the Titan spike. I'm not a myth, I'm a gift to your ear. Drum it, buckle up, crash a wallet to these peer dummies. Put in the work and I'm ready to get it. I'm lyrically 100% better than most of mainstream. My fucker's amazing, my pupil's lazy. Using a planet attack, precision mathematical blast. Subtract, I add, tick-tock, timestamp. I'm random on this remix. All that in my own prefix. There's nothing in front of me, at least as far as I can see it. Blindsight. Yeah. Subscribe.
Okay. Right, let me just write that last part down because that last little part is quite complex. Let me just run that back because I want to make sure I get the evidence correct, guys. This guy is a criminal mastermind. We should not trust him. I believe that we do have enough so far to convict this man. I just want to make sure the last piece of evidence I have here is correct.
I'm not a myth, I'm a gift to your ear, drum it. Buckle up, crash a wallet to these peer dummies. Put in the work and I'm ready to get in them lyrically. 100% better than most of the mainstream. My fucker's amazing, my pupil's lazy. Reason to planet attack. Precision mathematical blast. Subtract, I add, tick-tock, timestamp. Random on this remix. A Latin my own prefix. There's nothing in front of me, at least as far as I can see it. Blindsight. Yeah. My pupil's lazy. Reason to planet. You say you got those flames, you been gay. Hella Philip Morris, see the dick straight. You ain't motherfucking knowing. I'm the go fucking mothers on the soul. Motherfucker $3 in the milk, got them dropping in the hills. I don't need a fucking Trojan. With the Magnum, I stack that. I pop up other asses, I slap that. Watch them cheap clap back, shaft that. I'm a device to hype the mic. I'm coming in high tide to sight with the Titan spike. I'm not a myth, I'm a gift to your ear, drum it. Buckle up, crash a wallet to these peer dummies. Put in the work and I'm ready to get in them lyrically. 100% better than most of the mainstream. My fucker's amazing, my pupil's lazy. Reason to planet attack. Precision mathematical blast. Subtract, I add, tick-tock, timestamp. Random on this remix. A Latin my own prefix. There's nothing in front of me, at least as far as I can see it. Blindsight. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Blindsight. I think it'd be good for you to come down to the station and visit us for a good conversation about what's been going on here. So in the beginning, he was locking heads. Could be hair locks. I believe also ripping from the shoulders. He's taking the game away. He's going to take the game away from you. He's going to take... You rip something from someone's shoulders, you're taking the... Because the next line says he's going to make you lose pounds. Taking the weight from someone's shoulders. Are you taking the weight of the game away from them by taking the game away completely? That's theft, Mr. Blindsight. Theft. I also believe this goes on to some UK references. I.e., just as he finished the line about ripping from the shoulders and making you lose pounds. Pounds is money in the UK. And for those of you who are not sure where the UK reference is, he mentions fish and chips. Now this is where I believe a food scheme began. Fish and chips is a food, a UK tradition. Then he said that he's a player. And he said something about giving nuts. Nuts is a food. But he could also just be playing with his ball sack. Wouldn't surprise me with some of the vulgar messages he was giving to our female peers. I believe they're deeply offended by this. Okay. Infidelity with his wife. His poor wife has to watch him go and fuck up that pussy. And then he comes home to stick it in her butt. I had to write wow next to that. And all he tells her to do is not get her panties in a twist. Now I could be reaching. But when I heard the word panties in a twist, obviously that's a famous term. I kind of wanted to put that on the food rhyme scheme as panties sounds like pantries. But I'm not sure, after listening to it after the rollback, I'm not sure that's what he said, so I've left that out. If anybody believes I'm correct, please let me know and we'll add that to the evidence. So on the food we have fish and chips and we have nuts so far. He then went on to reference how he eats arse, and he used biscuits and gravy to metaphorically speak about this. So he wants to eat someone's arse like biscuits and gravy. That's disgusting, Mr. Blindsight. How does anybody kiss you goodnight knowing that you've been eating arse like biscuits and gravy? So we have fish and chips, nuts, biscuits and gravy. This is a man's got a food obsession. I'm surprised he's not 100 stone. He must be like 800 kilos or something. Poor wee scheme. Poor wee scheme. What did wee scheme do to you? But we do know that you haven't got his mask. You do not wear a mask. We have a picture of you, so we can find you quite easily as your face is exposed, especially when you plan on putting someone 6 feet under. We know you're wearing baggy jeans, Vans, chain wallet, possibly Nikes, tattoos, nymphomaniac, an untamed nymphomaniac. Off the chain, you're wild off the chain, you said. You believe you're a bit of a pit bull, Mr. Blindsight. We know you have a fascination with Guile from Street Fighter. Reference the plane crash to let us know it was Guile from Street Fighter. Humpty Dumpty, you turned him into an omelette. Humpty Dumpty's an egg. You made an omelette out of that. Fish and chips. Where did I write that? Here. Fish and chips, nuts, possible pantries. I'm going to leave that out for now. Biscuits and gravy. And omelettes. Lullaby references. See, duck, when you said about, was it duck hunting dog? I need to spruce up my knowledge of lullabies. You know, I wasn't as lucky as you, Mr. Blindsight. No one ever read me or sang me a lullaby. Playing with TNT, we know he's been playing with TNT. He mentioned about an explosion. A TNT explosion. And he mentioned in that bar something about programs. Now, he said that this would be remotely detonated. Now, a program could be in reference to a television program, which you would use a TV remote to remotely control what TV program you're watching. You can switch it over with a remote control, or you can remotely detonate a TNT explosion. So it could be planning a very vicious attack, which is also against the law, Mr. Blindsight. He also had some homophobic references, talking about somebody coming with that fire, or coming with that heat or flames, I believe. I think he said coming with that fire. Then he said being gay. Being gay sound, now, being gay sounds like a brand from Johnson & Johnson, I believe. Is it called Bengay? I believe they do a heat rub. They're like a heat, is it a menthol thing? If you've got back pains or arthritis, it gets hot, you know, helps those muscles. Bengay, possibly. And he says at the end, suck a dick straight, or eat a dick straight, something like that. Straight being the opposite of gay. Okay. Then he says that you're motherfucking no one. But then goes on to speak about how he fucks mothers. He refers to himself as a sultan. A sultan is a ruler, a leader, an Arabic and Muslim term. Trojan is the Trojan horse. Was it the wooden horse the Greeks built? So, are you planning to attack people in a wooden horse, like the Greeks did? Didn't they use the wooden horse to hide in and take down? Was it Troy City, or the Kingdom of Troy, which I believe is Turkish, which is a Muslim country. What else did I write down here? He said something about he was talking about he was gonna slap, slapping ass, I believe, slapping, watch those cheeks clap. So it could be arse cheeks, but it could also be your face cheeks, because he said at the end that he was gonna shaft him, and a shaft slap is where you take out your penis and slap someone round the cheek. I think it's the left cheek. So you slap them round the left cheek, you slap them real hard. Your cheeks clap. With the shaft slap. Dick in your face. Mr. Blindsight. That's one of the worst crimes I've discovered so far. Mr. Blindsight. Then he went and referenced, was it Triton? Triton was a Greek god. I think Triton was a son of Poseidon in Greek mythology. There was actually a movie called Poseidon, which I believe was about a wave disaster. Poseidon, I'm not sure what way round it was. I don't know if Poseidon was the father of Triton or Triton was the father of Poseidon. I know it's Greek mythology, which will explain that bars there. Okay, his focus is amazing, but his pupils are lazy. Blindsight is blind, in case you never figured that out. The mathematical rhyme scheme is the bit that I needed to work on, guys. That was the piece of evidence that was the most difficult to gather. It was right at the end. The very last piece of evidence was the most difficult. So I'm going to do my best, guys. It was a mathematical rhyme scheme. Now, I believe he said he was going to, about subtract, which sounds like subtract. He also said tick, tick, timestamp. Obviously, tick, tick sounds like a clock. Clock is where where time, how we read time. He then went on to talk about, well, he said I'll add in something. I'll add in. I know I've written down, guys, that I'll add in is associated with the prefix line. The prefix line. Now, I'll add in. A prefix is when you add like a number or a letter. And then he said there's nothing in front of him, which is a so that's like going back to the prefix, because a prefix, I'm sure you put something in front of something, either a number or a letter. But then he says there's nothing in front of him. So there's no prefix on him, he believes. He believes. I'm one step ahead of you, Mr. Blindsight. Now the reason why I had to go back over this part was the very last part. Now when he said I'll add in, I didn't think too deeply at first until the last part where it does sound like he says Jafar. Now for those of you that listen to it, you probably did the same as me and think that he just said as far as I can see. No, I'm pretty sure he said just Jafar as I can see. Which then makes me go back to I'll add in. Aladdin. Jafar. But we don't know if that's evidence as of yet. It could be completely off target, but I don't know. I'm going by the fact that Blindsight stated himself there's some hidden messages in here. So, the hidden messages, I believe. So the hidden messages, I believe, is the food pattern. That's one of the hidden messages. The fish and chips, the nuts. I'm going to leave pantries out. Biscuits in gravy. Omelette. Another hidden message, I believe, is Bengay is actually Bengay. The heat rub. I believe the Guile, the plane crash Guile, I believe that's Guile from Street Fighter. I believe Wild Off the Chain, he's referencing himself as a pit bull. I think the Do It, the Nike, that was obvious, that was just wordplay. I believe the Trojan horse, the Greek, ties in with the Greek mythology. I believe that was a setup. I believe Trojan was a setup. Trojan, obviously Greek myth. Was it a myth or was it a fact? I don't think we actually know. The Greeks used the Trojan horse to take down Troy. And if you go on, I believe when he says shaft them after about, you know, watching their cheeks clap, I believe he was talking about a shaft slap, which is disgusting, Mr. Blindsight. I believe when he talks about Triton and the Poseidon, I believe that ties back in to the Greek mythology. So I believe we've got Greek mythology in there. I believe the mathematical line was the setup to the prefix scheme. Well, I say it's prefix scheme, it's not prefix scheme, but I believe you hid Aladdin in there. I believe you hid Aladdin and Jafar in the end there. And I think that's all I've got. Mr. Blindsight, I do believe you should hand yourself in. I do believe that you will need to stand in front of a judge and explain this criminal behaviour. And I do think you will see yourself in the Lyrical Assassins prison very soon. You can't run for long. Mr. Blindsight, I think we've heard enough today. If anybody sees Mr. Blindsight, can you please let us know as soon as possible. Guys, you've been watching The Sheriff on MoReece J TV, and we thank you for assisting the Sheriff with the evidence today. Don't forget to visit the hip hop shop, which I will locate in the description below. Eminem fans, don't forget to visit the Eminem shop, which will also be located in the description below. Don't forget to visit our Teespring store. I'll locate the Teespring store in the description below. Mo Vaseline merch can be found at the Teespring store, along with a MoReece J TV t-shirt. And Eminem fans, come join our group on Facebook, Eminem Rap God. We'll take care of you. We'll protect you from Mr. Blindsight. He can't find you in there. So guys, you've assisted the Sheriff today on MoReece J TV, and we'll update you soon with the verdict of Mr. Blindsight's sentence. Thank you.